the boldness that you gain after speaking affirmations over yourself. The more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining our show. Thank you for tuning in. You have just tuned into Where is the Love? I am your host. I am Stephanie Hawkenhall, and joining me is my son, Gene Williams, my co-host.
What it do, people? What up, Mike? How you doing?
He always enter in some kind of crazy way, y'all.
And I never know how I'm going to do it, even when I'm going to do
it. So our show, Where is the Love, is about bullying versus love, where we share information with you about bullying and different ways to help yourself through bullying experiences, and what real love is. Real love is being kind and treating others the way you want to be treated. Those are our main two things that we express. There's other parts or other things about loving one another. That's he is certifiably insane. That's a note from our
producer.
From our producer. Hey, y'all, we this is our 39th episode. On episode 38, we talked about communication and forgiveness. And today on our show, we're going to be talking about presumption and listening. And then we're going to start talking about something else. So we'll let you know about that when we get to it. In the meantime, what we would like for you to do is join us on our YouTube channel live right now. And you will be able to comment. And you are here on Facebook Live. If you're looking at our show on Facebook Live, you can comment, join in on the conversation. You can join us on pod.tv on the website and watch us live right now. You can also watch us live on TV, on Roku, and on Amazon Fire. All you have to do is search POD space live, LIVE. And you can watch us live on TV. So those are the places that you can get us and watch us and join in on the conversation. So
shoot a fat.
Yeah. You remembered that. When you said that, I was like, did I tell him that? And then when you said the last part, right. I was like, oh, I did tell him.
I'm like, chew the rags. Why are we gonna chew the rags? It don't equate to me, but okay.
Yeah, I spent some time with my dad this week, and he always has these little corny things he says. So that's something corny that he said.
Chew the this week.
Rags. Never know what he's gonna say or what he's gonna do. Mm-hmm. More locations than Mickey Mouse. Mark, you a mess. So, all right, let's get to it. On presumption and listening, Gene, you want to add anything before we get started?
No, I can't believe we're at 39. We're almost at 40. This is crazy.
Yes, and we haven't even made a year yet.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, y'all, next month, I don't remember the date. I think it's like April 4th, but around the early part of April, is when we started in 2022. So yeah, we're moving. So next month we're gonna have some special things going on our show to celebrate our year mark. So we don't want to give that away right now, but just
nobody.
But get ready because we're gonna have some special things coming to you next month. So you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Again, as she said, we are discussing presumption and listening. All right. So human communication is complicated. We all know that. When
Yeah.
someone is speaking to us, we take their words, filter them through our belief system, and analyze what they said or what they have said according to our point of view. We then come to a conclusion believing we understood the other person. Now, what does that sound?
Okay.
It would sound like there was I can't even explain it. Like someone was maybe taking a pen or something over a microphone.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't hear it.
Okay. Have you ever been? That's what it is. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said to you, "I never told you that," or "I said that, but that is not what I meant"? Have you ever been asked your sibling? Have you ever asked your siblings about something that was said at a family gathering, and each one of them comes up with a different version? Were you the only one who actually heard what was said? Doubtfully. We know that people don't always say what they mean out of fear of hurting each other, fear of judgment, or fear of retribution. So they may say something that's not exactly what they actually mean, and we're supposed to understand what their true intention is.
I think that's your microphone.
All right, let me try something. What about now? I still hear it. What about now? What about now?
It sounds okay to me. Does it sound funny to you?
Yeah, it doesn't sound. I don't hear that scratching anymore. I'm gonna try the other side, maybe.
Okay, while he's doing that, uh, all right, between people not communicating what they mean and our filtering what they're saying, it's amazing human communication takes place at all. Can you still hear it?
Yeah, even without it plugged up.
I wonder if
That's
it's
weird.
your headset.
Well, like I said, I have the headset unplugged.
So I don't know what that is.
All right, if I hear it again, I'll just disconnect this. All right, I'm sorry. Keep going, Mark.
Okay. So we can add in the difficulty we have translating other languages, especially idioms and words that have no translation from one language to another. Why? Just by moving from one side of the US to the other side to the other, local slang, various accents, and different customs can make communication confusing. We also have our own definitions for the concepts we use in our conversations. Can you still hear it?
Yeah.
Let me see if I change. Mark said he can hear it too. I don't hear it.
It sounds different. I don't hear it now.
I unplugged my headset. Um, the only thing is, I'm afraid when the heater comes on, it's gonna. Let me
A lot of noise.
see.
Sorry, y'all. We're having technical difficulties. We'll get right back to it, though. That's what I was hearing. That right there.
Does that sound better?
Yeah, way better.
Okay, so it might have been my headset, although they're pretty new. Still good?
Yeah, perfect now.
Okay. Mark, do you still hear the noise?
He may be out now.
Okay. Let me see. Where were we? Okay.
Why just I moved from
Yep.
one side of the U.S.?
Yep. You can go ahead.
All right.
I think I did almost finish that sentence. I don't think I finished the whole thing.
Okay. All right. So why just by moving from one side of the U.S. to the other, local slang, various accents, and different customs can make communication very confusing.
Yes.
We also have our own definitions for the concepts we use in our conversations. For example, I may tell you that my partner is not being honest with me. You have your definition of what honesty means, and I've got mine. You may think this means not to tell blatant lies, but that white lies are acceptable. I may believe that any lie is bad, and that no one should, and that one should always tell the truth. So in this case, you may not understand my point of view because you don't have the same definition of honesty as I do. So what's the solution? Listening. Listening
Yeah.
deeply to someone else is not about hearing what they want to hear, what you want to hear, according to our personal point of view. It's about listening to what the other person is saying from their point of view. This requires us to put all interpretation aside and to ask them to explain when we're not sure or if there's any doubt as to their meaning.
So I want to
That's what
add.
active listen.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that's where active listening comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Literally silencing the the retort in your head. There's always that person in your head that's trying to, come back. No, you sit back and literally quiet that person
Yep.
to allow yourself to truly absorb what the person is saying to you when they're speaking.
Yep.
And again, if you have any questions, you ask them to clarify things. And that is what creates clear understanding, and that's active listening.
Yep. That's very good. A very good explanation. Because we always have our opinion and our own thoughts and our own judgments about whatever somebody else is saying. But in order to hear it the way that they're giving it, we have to listen. Listening is very important. Otherwise, you're going to hear it through your own judgments, actions, thoughts, and it could be all jumbled up and then become a misunderstanding.
Right. And I do want to add, like I said earlier, like we filter what people say to us through our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, say for instance, you're in a situation where two people are, play fighting verbally or whatever, and you've been in situations where you've been in, knockdown, drag out, hollering matches with someone, and you're around people who are doing that playfully, you'll take it as something serious because of your experiences.
Yeah.
It's always good to step back from who you are, where you've been, and see things as they are and not as you see them.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. As they are and as you see them could be two totally different things.
Right. Exactly. That's awesome explanation. An analogy. Point. Great point. A statement as simple as "I heard you say X, Y, and Z." Is that what you meant? Can make a huge difference in your level of understanding. Plus, it makes the person who is talking feel like you're listening,
Right.
which of course you are. There's I was going to say there's nothing worse, but there are. But it is so hard when you are talking to somebody and you know that they're not listening. I mean, it can be so aggravating, you know, knowing that you're talking and that you want to be heard and that the person that you're talking to is not listening, you
Right.
know, it can be very aggravating.
Right.
So, and one way to look at that is to think about how you would feel if it were you. So treat others the way you want to be treated. And as long as you're doing that, then it's going to be okay. That doesn't mean that you won't ever be misunderstood, because you may, but just, be patient with yourself and be patient with the other person.
Right.
And remember, listening is a huge part of communication.
Right.
You want to add something, or if not,
Yeah,
you
actually,
can go.
I was going to say something that we talked about before, and it'll probably come lower in the in this information. But something that you and I have talked about before is like when you're having a serious conversation with someone, a smart thing to do is keep a notebook or a pad or something by. So if you have questions, instead of interrupting them, write down your question
Yeah.
and write down the point. You know,
Yep.
they feel this way. You know, they said this, da 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 da. So that after they get done, after you let them finish what they have to say, then you can go back to your list. Okay, so you said you feel this. Can you explain? Or, you know, so on and so forth. And you go down, so that the fact that you sat there and you wrote down what they said, and then you come back to get understanding and clarification,
Yeah.
lets that person know not only that they're being listened to, but they are being honored.
Yep.
And that's what we all want and desire in communication with people that we love. We
Yep.
want to feel heard, we want to feel wanted, we want to feel honored for who
Yep.
we are.
Yep. That's good and very true. You want to do the next part?
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's also important to listen to the emotional quality of the message, the music behind the words, so to speak. Often, when people communicate, they're saying one thing, but the emotions that are coming through with their words are something entirely different. For example, I can say, I love you, with love dripping from my words, or say the same thing with bitterness and resentfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very factual.
Yep.
The same thing can be said with different intentions, different, different mindset. Um, yeah, and it is different. It's vastly different. Um, so it's very important to not only peep the words, but the emotions that were given with the words said, because that
Right.
tells the entire story.
Yep.
You know, you got to pay attention to the intonations of the voice, and you know, the cadence and all of that stuff. All of that plays into, you know, to what you say and how
Yep.
it's received by other people.
Right.
All right. So to truly listen requires us to be present in the moment. Too often, we're thinking at the same time another person is speaking, and we have already responded to what they have said in our mind, even before they have finished communicating with us. Lord, Lord, Lord. I know this one all too well. You defending a point that's not even being made. Like, what you defending?
Yeah.
I wasn't even saying that. If you had heard the whole thing all the way from A to Z, then maybe you would have heard, you know, the meat of what I was saying. But you got stuck on point, you know, C. I'm already Z, and we are nowhere close. We have two different conversations because you didn't listen all the way through.
Right. And I want to interject.
Yeah, yeah,
It's you can't listen when you're on the defense. You can't listen actively. Look at you. It was supposed to go in your mouth, not outside of your mouth. He said,
yeah.
"Oh, I forgot I was drinking."
Because I was about to say something too.
So again, if you can't be listening if you already have your defenses up, you're not actively listening because you're already ready to jump, ready to pounce on whatever the person is saying. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, yeah, and that defensiveness is what causes a lot of rifts in
Yeah.
conversation, because you're already defending, like I said before, defending a point that's probably not even being made.
Yeah.
Like you heard points A to D, but you didn't understand that he resolved that and went to another point. Like
Yep.
this is the setup, this is the foundation of the conversation, and
Yep.
then you went on and segued down another path, and
Yep.
you still over here, you know, on the left hand side. We went on the right hand side.
Right.
You still stuck there looking around like, I told you this. So, you
Yep.
know, hello, we're over here. Come on.
Right.
Man. And that's how a lot of arguments start, because people are not listening.
That's true. Very
Man.
true.
All right. And if we're doing this, we can't possibly be listening, as our attention is being split and we're making assumptions about what's being said rather than hearing the message. All right. If someone is speaking, it's important to do our best to not make their conversation about ourselves.
Yep.
For example, Someone might be telling you how they had an uncomfortable situation at work with their boss. As soon as they stop talking, you jump right in and tell them how the exact same thing happened to you, and you know exactly how they feel. Do we really know exactly how that person feels? No, you don't, because you're
Yeah.
not them.
Yeah.
You may have a similar situation, but you basically taking over the conversation and making it about you totally negated anything that they just said to you.
Okay, good, Mark, because I
Right.
changed from my headset to my just so I'm glad. Maybe it was the headset. And I want to interject something on what you just said. When it comes to jumping right in and then saying the same thing to somebody else, one of the things I spent time with family this week. And so one of the things that I realized is that, you know, I know that some people do that. But then, when you do that, sometimes it's like, this is just the analogy that just came to mind. For example, I have a tumor the size of an orange. Um, Mark. So I have a tumor the size of an orange, and then somebody else say, "Well, I have a tumor the size of a basketball." You know, why are we comparing? I mean,
Competing.
it's yeah, competing. Is it the purpose to have more than the other person, or just think about things like that. I mean, can we just listen without comparing and competing with one another?
Right.
Because when we're doing that, are we really listening, or are we looking for an opportunity to make ourselves look better, um,
Or
and
to
to
get
make
sympathy.
our or what?
Or to get sympathy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just something that I thought, because it's hard to hear, when people are doing that. It's hard to, it's like, why are you doing that? Or why do
Mm-hmm.
you keep doing that? Like your situation is worse than if I have a bad situation, I'm talking about that, then you have a worse situation. Or if I'm talking about something good, and how it positively affects me or whatever, then you have something else that's even better. So that's about competition, and that's just horrible. Listening is, man, we got to learn how to do it. It's important
Yeah.
and valuable in relationships, to make relationships run smoothly and to be fair in relationships and to treat other people the way we want to be treated.
Right.
So
Agreed. Yep. It says exactly what I was going to say. So now after that comparison, you've taken the attention off of them and are making the conversation all about you. The ego mind loves to do this. However, people won't want to share their lives with you if you're constantly stealing the floor rather than allowing them to share their stories. I'm gonna say this real quick. I have some people in my life that are going to be longtime associates because every single time I talk to them about something I'm going through, they're like, "Yeah, well, the same thing. I went through this or that, try to steal the floor." So it's like, and then it ends up, I just be quiet and let them talk. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
then I get off the phone because all you made the whole conversation about you. Now it's like I don't have nothing to talk about. So, right. Oh, really? Oh man.
Yeah, it's really hard to communicate with people that are like that.
Right.
It's really hard, and so just like you said, it. Well, so I mean, there's no use for me to go ahead and finish my story because you already took over, and it's about you. I mean,
I don't feel like fighting. I
right?
just feel like you have it, partner.
So you want to do the next part,
Yeah,
or
I got you. All right. So there is an art to listening and being present. Everyone knows the saying God gives us two ears and one mouth.
woo?
so that we can listen twice as much as we talk. Well, that's a lot of wisdom in that proverb. Each of us made the effort to listen more intently with an open mind and without preconceptions. Human communication would be effortless and lovely.
Yes.
Man, it's a lot of work, but you can do it. So let's forgive ourselves for any of the above behaviors, for not paying attention when others speak, for distorting their words, for cutting them off. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. For cutting them off, for completing their sentences, or for making assumptions about what they're saying. In turn, let's forgive them for the same.
Yep. Mark said some folks too busy talking to listen, and that's very true. And something you just said, it's so aggravating when you are talking to somebody and they are completing your sentences, especially when they're completing a sentence the wrong with the wrong words.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you thought I was gonna say this, so you finishing, with the words that you think, but that's not even what I was getting ready to say. So it gets to be so frustrating, and then at some point you're just like, man, forget it. I'm just not even gonna say nothing.
Right.
So and then cutting people off, you know. And I'm learning to, I am observant, especially when I'm around a bunch of people.
Right.
I'm observant and and listening and watching. Um, and then so going back to, God gave us two ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we talk. That's what I do, and I see myself doing it most when I'm around a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that I do, because I see and hear so many things that if I'm talking and trying to steal the floor and get all the attention, I'm missing the things that are going on around me and the things that are being said around me. So, man,
Yeah, I do the same thing. I in a room full of people, I sit in the back and just kind of watch everything happen.
yep,
I don't want to be the center of attention unless I'm on stage. If I'm on stage, all right, I'm supposed to be the center of attention.
right,
Otherwise, I want to sit back and just watch and observe people, and you learn more about their personality um, by watching them as opposed to what they tell you.
right,
Because people will give you, a beautiful narrative about their lives, and then you watch it, you're like, you said you, yeah, you ain't about that life.
yeah.
You say you is, but you ain't about that life, partner.
Mark said some folks like to put words in your mouth, and that is
Yes,
so
Lord.
true.
Yes, Lord.
And they want to narrate your life, and that is so true.
Yeah.
So, the moral of the story of this part of the conversation is to listen twice as hard as you speak.
Yes, Lord. As is often. Yep. Exactly.
And so we want to give you some encouragement. You must be a person who is willing to see change as a positive and explore each phase as if God has a present locked inside of it for you, because he does. And that's saying from TD Jakes. So be willing to see change, as positive, and explore each other, explore each phase of life. And
Yeah.
so, with that being said, we want to start talking about self talk. So, and before we go into self talk, I want to say that, you know, we, without anything happening in life, we have self talk. We hear voices, a voice, in our head, we constantly hear chatter in our own heads and in our own minds of things that has been said or things that has been done or things that, you know, um, we want to say to somebody else and all of this. So there's always some talk going on, in our minds most of the time. Um,
Yeah.
And so that is, what we're calling self talk. Our self talk can be negative or positive. So we're going to get into that. But especially when we're being mistreated, or as our conversation is, uh, Mark.
That's Chester. That's the cheese.
So we have, things going on, like I said, in our head and in our minds. Um, oh, that's what I was saying. Mark, stop sending messages. You distracted me. um,
You must be
so,
present.
uh,
I said you must be present.
so when we're being bullied and beat up and talked down to and mistreated and all of that is where I was going. When we're doing that, we have a lot of self-talk that's down and negative and beating us up, along with the things that other people have said. We already have our own thoughts about ourselves. So we're going to be talking about self-talk. We're going to be talking about starting now, we're going to be talking about positive and negative self-talk and how to build yourself up and encourage yourself when you're going through negative experiences or when you're going through life's experiences. So, and our information comes from Psychology Today. So, Gene, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I did want to add this though. It is so. I think self-talk has a negative, usually has a negative connotation to it. People like if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. No, we all talk to ourselves. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the nature of human beings. You bounce thoughts off your own inside your own head. Or you have that thought. You're going through something and you work through it. It's only a bad thing when the voices tell you to do negative things and you do them.
Right.
That's when it's a disorder.
Yeah.
But it's common for everyone to talk to themselves, to have that voice in your head telling you to do things or saying things. Well, I mean, we do answer all our questions. I mean, the answer is already within you. That's why
Yep.
you bounce thoughts off your head, but you got to make sure that you're channeling them in a positive way as opposed to a negative, which is what we'll talk about. But I had to say that because it's said often that if a person talks to themselves, they're crazy. No, everyone does that. Everyone talks to themselves.
Right. And so whether you're talking to yourself or whether you're talking out loud to yourself, you're
Right.
still talking to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yep.
So I'll start. So according to Psychology Today, many people are conscious of an inner voice that provides a running monologue on their lives throughout the day. This inner voice or self-talk, combining conscious thoughts and unconscious beliefs and biases, provides a way for the brain to interpret and process daily experiences.
Yep.
Our self-talk can be cheerful and supportive or negative and self-defeating. Self-talk can be beneficial when it's positive, calming fears, and bolstering confidence. Human nature, unfortunately, is prone to negative self talk, including sweeping assertions like, I can't do anything right, or I'm a complete failure. It is so hard to hear people saying things like that. I'm like, wow, how can you think like that? How can you
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just when I hear that, I feel like that person. I mean, they are in a negative um, kind.
Headspace, negative headspace.
Yeah, and that's not cool. So my thought is, is this person gonna start thinking or having suicidal thoughts? I mean, that's really putting yourself really super low. I can't do anything right. I mean, how can I, my thoughts are, how can I help pick you up so that you're not thinking like that?
Right.
It's not about talking like that, but it's about thinking like that. But so when we talk like that, if we're not really feeling that, then that feeling is coming, because what we say and what we feel are going to line up and are going to do the same thing. So
Right.
you're going to get what you speak.
Right.
So, uh, and saying I'm a complete failure, I'm like, man, out of all the things in life, how can you? I mean, you may have bombed on one or two things or a few things, but you're saying your whole life
Right.
is a complete failure. And so I'm always like, where's that person? Where are they going with their thoughts after this?
Right.
Because that's a very low point. You can add what you want to add.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say something else and I say this to, I say this to people that we love all the time. People when they're in that negative headspace, they may even jokingly say, "Oh man, I can't think straight. I'm retarded or whatever." And I'd be like, "Yo, don't say that."
Right.
Well, I was just joking. Yeah, but with every the deal with comedy, the reason why it hits home is because there is some nugget of truth in what they're saying, and they
Yeah.
just made it comical. And that's the
Right.
same thing that you're doing. When you say something like, I can't get anything right or whatever, even if you say it jokingly, deep down you really mean it. But you're saying it in a way that's laughable, that uses levity. But it still programs your mind,
Right.
which programs your character and your habits, and which creates your life. So we
Right.
have to be very cognizant and very judicious about how you use your words. Don't
Yep.
even jokingly play negatively about yourself.
Right.
If you hear that negative chatter in your head, listen to it, process it, and then, you know what? I don't want that reality.
Yep.
So
Throw it
then
away.
right. So you throw it away and then you retape something positive as that loop in your head, because you're going to hear a loop always. Your brain is always going to tell you something over and
Yeah.
over again. If you program with positive things, you're going to hear those positive things over and over again. But if you say negative things over and over again, that's all you're going to hear, and it's going to create a reality. So we have to be very, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yep.
Very true words.
Yep. Yep. You can go to the next part unless you want to add something else.
Nah, I'm going to shut up on that part. um, how can I make my self-talk work for me? You can make your self-talk work for you by closely monitoring it. It's easy to allow self-talk to become critical or dwell in second guessing. When this happens, research shows we become less successful at finding creative solutions for problems, and others may come to doubt us as well. Correcting your self-talk when it's unconstructive can keep it focused on boosting you. So this is what I said. You change that self-talk. You have that negative thought, you correct it, you wipe out the negative self-talk, you put a positive loop, an affirmation that builds you up in
Yep.
that loop, and you repeat it over and over again, and it becomes your reality.
Right. Amen. Good word.
All right, what are the most useful kinds of self-talk? When self-talk focuses on how we can thrive and not just survive, that's a word right there.
Mm-hmm.
It can provide essential motivation to achieve goals. We have to accept and receive self-talk that builds us up. Self-talk that helps us take a wider view of our lives and opportunities rather than narrowly focusing on threats, and self-talk that acknowledges and directly addresses our doubts and fears have been shown to promote happiness, well-being, and success.
Yep.
All right, so how can we keep our self-talk positive? Now, self-talk can veer toward the negative when we think back to past situations in which things did not go well, and when we ponder a future full of things that could go wrong. Man, I'll say something about that in a second. Research finds that when self-talk focuses on the present moment instead, and on seeing that moment and its opportunities as valuable, it more effectively helps us reach our goals. So, excuse me. So in a few therapy sessions, my therapist helped me realize that a lot of people who deal with depression are stuck in the past.
Mm.
They're constantly thinking about things they could have done better in the past as opposed to living in the present moment. And people who are anxious all the time have high anxiety or focus on the future. neither side are focusing on the present moment where you are in control of what you do and what you think and what you say in that moment. Because guess what? The past no longer exists, only in your mind.
Yep.
And the future hasn't come yet.
Yep.
So stay present in this very moment and live your best and highest self
Yep.
now. Not looking, I could have done better back then. We all could have. We
Yep.
all could have. Who's perfect? Who has not
Yep.
made mistakes? Learn from them. Assess them, learn from them, and still live in this moment. I did this, but I'm not going to do it now.
Yep.
I learned from that. Or, oh, you know, I could be broke and go homeless. And who's to know? How about you just make smart plans right now?
Yep.
And live in this moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen then. If you set yourself up for success right now, then guess what you're going to have in the future? Success, because you set yourself up for it, living in the moment.
Yep. So one of the things that I had to look up a word. I'm getting ready to tell you in a minute. So one of the things that stood out when you said depression is press.
Yeah, right.
You know, pressing on something, that's pressure.
Right.
So the word that I'm looking at, though, is depressed. Make feel utterly dispirited or dejected.
Right.
So you're living in a place where you're feeling dejected. You're living in a place where you're feeling unworthy.
Yeah.
And that's where you're staying at.
Right.
As long as you allow those thoughts of whatever it is to control you, because that's what they're doing. They are controlling your present moment.
Yep.
And it's something that you can't, something that Mama used to say to me when I was in my 20s, you know, had John was in my 20s, she would say, what can you can't do nothing about, you can't change nothing that has already happened. You can't change your situation. So why are you, you know, because I was depressed a lot. So why are you living in that place? But she would always say, you can't change nothing that's happening. I mean, you can't change nothing. So why are you staying in that place?
Right.
Why are you allowing your mind to stay in that place? So anyway, I just had to look up this because, like when you said the word depression, press just is what I mean, press.
Right.
You know, and you're allowing things to press you down, press your mind down,
right,
keep you, you know, to squash you.
Right. Crush your spirit, yeah. Because you stuck back in those days where you did XYZ.
Yep.
You know what I mean? As opposed to living in this very moment.
Yep.
And so the opposite of that would be decompress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're depressed or compressed, and then you decompress by releasing it.
Yep.
You allow yourself freedom of movement and freedom of thought.
And
stuck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, that's fine. And that you're forgiving yourself.
Right. Right.
And you're allowing yourself to not take control. Yeah. Okay, so I can't control this situation. You know, my only way of controlling it is to choose a different thought or to choose a different way. You know, to make a choice to not think this way because it's not helping me. It's not helping me in a healthy way.
Right.
Or in a positive way. Wow. Okay, so go ahead. This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is helping me.
Yeah, it's imperative to have a positive mindset. And it can be difficult at times. You know, life arises and throws all types of obstacles and dragons and trolls and, you know, troglodytes and all that in your path. But you stay focused on what you have power over, and that is how you react to things.
Right.
You know, when you control how you react to things, then you come from a better standpoint. You own your power and control what you have control over, which is you and you alone.
Yeah.
Everything else you just have to adapt and make it work.
Yep. And if it ain't working, you just choose something different.
Exactly. Yep.
that
And
will
keep
work.
banging your
And
head on that same freaking wall.
yep,
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
yep,
So, hey, that ain't work. I tried that 3-4 different times. All right, maybe
yep,
if I go around this wall.
yep,
Oh, I couldn't go around this too long. Okay, maybe if I dig under. Come on, El
yep.
Chapo. Come on, El Chapo. I'm dig up under the wall. Go get my El Chapo. I'm gonna dig up under the wall. I'm gonna make me a tunnel.
Right. I'm gonna go under.
I'm gonna climb over to something. I'm gonna figure it out though.
Yeah. Okay, so I messed up and I'm not in the right place. So you have to go
I got it.
ahead.
Yeah, the danger of negative self-talk.
Okay.
All right. So the problem with negative self-talk is that it typically does not reflect reality. And so it can convince people wrongly that they are not only not good enough, but that they can never get better, paralyzing them into self absorption and inaction. People with depression and anxiety frequently experience destructive and dysfunctional self talk. The internal chatter, or what we call in yoga, the vrittis, or the monkey mind, where the mind is bouncing all over the place with no control.
Mm.
The internal chatter they hear may be incessant and overly critical. Um, Overwhelmed by the negativity, they can wallow in painful rumination, being stuck in the past, attacking themselves ceaselessly. In severe cases, this type of inner dialogue can be curtailed with professional treatment, such as cognitive behavioral therapy.
So, looking back at the first part of people with depression and anxiety frequently experience destructive and dysfunctional self talk. So, when we're experiencing destructive and dysfunctional self talk, that's when it's time for us to pay attention to what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. This is not good for me. This is not edifying me. It's not building me up in no way. It's tearing me down and making me feel horrible. Um, Wallowing in the mud. Right, Mark. So, in order to, we have to choose to change those thoughts. This is not where I want to be. I want to be in a better place. So, how can I get out of this depression? How can I get out of this anxiety? So, a good way to think about that is, what are some choices that you made that got you in that situation, that got you thinking the way you're thinking or feeling that anxiety that you're feeling? What are the things, the thoughts you were thinking to get yourself in that position? So, think about that and then choose. I don't want to think like that. I don't want to think those thoughts. So then what can you do? You can choose, make a choice. I don't want that. And then look for example, affirmations, things that will build you up,
Right.
saying things that will build you up, doing things that will build you up, that will help your mind get in a better place. I am a leader and not a follower. I am smart. I am smart, not stupid. Just whatever those, think of what the opposite of those things are to build yourself up and to
Right.
make yourself think better than you're thinking of yourself so that you can get out of those places, out of those pits of
Yes.
depression and anxiety, because that's what they are, pits.
Yep. Out of those valleys.
Yep. And if y'all can see the picture in the background, there's mountains and valleys, and the sky is kind of covered up. But that's what this picture behind us represents: valleys and mountains, and uh, blue skies. Because when you're feeling low, you're feeling down about yourself, you're being bullied, you're up and down, and that's just life's experiences anyway. You're up and down in life. And so when you get down, you have to look up, to make yourself get out of there. Because if you look down, you're just going to keep digging a deeper ditch and you're going lower and lower. So,
Right. Yep. Yeah, you got to own that power of creating. I was going to say this earlier. So you have to pay attention to how the thoughts are making you feel. If you're constantly having thoughts and you're feeling depressed, it's showing you that you are act in actuality destroying yourself. And when you have thoughts that make you feel good, they're building you up.
Yeah.
So you have to be very cognizant of how your thoughts are making you feel, because thoughts are energy, and then energy is everything that we create. And the more that you do the same thing over and over again, you create a gravitational pull towards those feelings, that energy in motion.
Yeah.
Emotions are energy in motion that stem from a thought process first. And then there are emotions that come with it that cause you to go into a loop, pulling those things that you keep thinking into your reality and
Yeah.
creating it around you.
Yeah.
So be very cognizant of your thoughts. When you hear yourself beating yourself up, uh, again, like you say, go to affirmations, find you a mantra, find you some affirmations, meditate, get away from people, journal, something else you said. You kept saying, I am. We have to be very, very, very cognizant of what we put behind the two words, I am.
Yeah.
That is a creation tool.
Yeah.
If you say, I am stupid, then what do you think is going to create? It's
Yeah.
going to create situations that only confirm that.
Right.
If you say that I am beautiful, you're going to have situations that confirm that for you.
Yeah.
But it's all about what you put behind those words.
Yeah.
I am that I am. You are creative. We are all creative. We come from the big creator, and we are
Yep.
all smaller creators,
Right.
creating reality around us and
Yep.
creating and concurrently with each other.
That's a great point. So he created the world
Right.
by saying, let there be.
Right.
So we, as a small c creator,
Right.
we create with what we say.
Yep.
I am depressed. I am anxious. I
Yep.
am hurting. I am sick of this. I
Yep.
am tired of that. So that should help us to understand that when what we say, we are creating. If it's not created in front of us, it's going to be, because
Right.
that's what we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we created,
And that created an emotion,
Yep.
which creates a habit, which
Yep.
creates a characteristic, which creates a lifestyle.
Yep. Because that's what we spoke. That's so we get what we speak.
Yeah.
And then like you said, the emotions line up with it, then everything starts lining up with it. So you get exactly what you spoke.
Yep.
Because what you spoke is what you expected, even though that might not have been your plan. That's the way it operates, because we created it with the words that we spoke.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So it reminds me of the book by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh.
So is
That
he.
stemmed from the scripture, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Mm-hmm.
He said that very thing. Once you say something over and over again, you create a gravitational pull towards that.
Yeah.
So you have to be very cognizant about the things that you say, because
Yeah.
it creates your reality. If you don't want it, then you got to make sure you don't say it. But if
Yeah.
you keep saying it, then it means you want it.
Right.
The universe don't know the difference. You keep saying it, so that's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. Boom. Now
Yeah.
you got it. I don't want this. This is terrible. Well, you kept saying it.
Right.
So watch your words.
Yep. Words have value, and they definitely have meaning, and they definitely have feeling. So all of those things are going to come together to give you exactly what you said.
Yep.
So it's so important for us to watch our words, to say what we really mean. Like we read earlier, well, that's not what I really meant. Well, say what you really mean.
And mean what you say.
Yeah. So anyway, this is good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this one.
And Mark said we have to listen to our inner guide. Yes, we do. Because our inner guide is telling us, is speaking the truth to us. And so whether we accept that truth and receive that truth, or accept and receive what someone else says or what we want, we're still going to get whatever it is, what it is we're listening to, if that's what we speak. So
Right.
we listen to it, we hear it, we listen to it, we believe it, we speak it, then we see it because it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So
And
you want to add?
yeah, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, and going back to what Mark said about the inner guide, in the Four Noble Truths, um, I cannot forget remember the name of the author right now, but he said, um, "Your inner guide is your inner God,"
Mm-hmm.
equivalent to that. So,
Yep.
when you find the inner guide that's leading you to something positive, building a reality for yourself that is desired, as opposed to that which you don't desire, then you're following the inner guide.
Yep. Um, Definitely. Because that our inner God is our spirit.
Yep.
Um, and so we have 4 minutes. Are we at it's also important?
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna
Wait,
get
wait, wait. Yeah. Actually, we're at why do we allow ourselves to be self-critical?
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so people who believe negative self-talk is valid often imagine that it is honest, that it limits their ego, that it prepares them for disappointment, or that they simply deserve it. Considering whether they think it would be a useful or fair to speak to a good friend the same way we can help them understand why they should stop justifying their self-criticism and instead work on silencing it. And I would actually say, um, silence the negative critic and empower the positive critic. Because I mean, criticism is only negative if it's uh, given to break or tear someone down. You can criticize someone and do it in a way that it builds them up. You
Yeah.
know, so
Um, so you're gonna have to remind me of where we are. Are we at a good stopping point?
yeah,
Okay. Okay, I think I are we at how to change your self-talk?
yes,
Okay. All right. So we this ends our show for today. We are going to continue to talk about and address self-talk on our show next week because we have some more things to add to it. We hope that this information that we have given you and this conversation that we have had based on this information that we've given you, hopefully it has helped and made you think about some things that you may not have thought about in the past to help you to grow and to help you take your power back. If you've been listening to negative self talk that has not helped you in any way to become a better person. So watch your words, you speak what you mean, say what you mean what you say, and focus on receiving and accepting positive thoughts that will edify you, build you up, and make you a better person. You want to add any last words?
yeah. You actually said everything that I wanted to say. Definitely be cognizant of the words you use. Build yourself up and live in the now. Now is all that exists. The,
No.
the past no longer exists. It's been done, and the future is yet to come. Live now, and you can live, and you will truly live in peace when you can live in the moment.
Yep. So we want to say thank you again for joining our show. Thank you for tuning in to Where is the Love? We send you away with love. We send you away with peace. We send you away with joy and happiness. Take care. Bye for now. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Take care. Bye for now.